Hello, everyone, and welcome to Look Down There, the show where we talk about all the things we don't talk about. I'm your host, Michelle Amore, and I'm so excited to start season 3 with my guest today. She is one of the originators of the modern burlesque movement, and she regularly tours the US, the UK, and Europe. She has been on stages with the Cramps, Rob Zombie, J-Lo, just to name a few, and has walked the runway with John Paul Gaultier. Yep, that's what I'm saying. She is currently the featured showgirl for the Teenage Werewolves, and she is here with me today, the stunning and amazing Kitten de Ville. Hi, Kitten.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi, it's so great to see you.
It's so good to see you too.
Yes, you have been on my list to have on the show for quite some time. So I'm so happy to have you here. We've been in the burlesque scene for a really long time together, and I've always enjoyed my time with you on stage and off stage. And, you're somebody that I have always admired in the scene. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you.
for all that you do and all that you've done.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes. So I know that this question gets asked a million times to us, but I actually don't know your story. So how did you get into burlesque?
I got into burlesque from go-go dancing. I was go-go dancing at Club Fuck, which was a gay club in Los Angeles. And another burlesque, or actually go-go dancer at the time, Michelle Carr, Michelle Hell, we used to talk about burlesque and don't you wish there were burlesque clubs and things like that. And from all that talk, it ended up forming the Velvet Hammer. And so we had our first show. It sold out on Valentine's Day in 95. And from there, I just kept with it and been with burlesque ever since.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
Velvet Hammer, but also Club Fuck. What's tell me about this place.
So,
And
Club
why is it
Fuck,
not still around?
it's been raided by the police and I was arrested.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay.
but yeah, it was around in the early 90s. I started dancing there in 92. And it was this underground gay club where there was a lot of performance art with like mummification and people on hooks. And then there was also DJs and go-go dancing. And it was in Silver Lake. And it was, I don't know, it was a really fun nightclub, mainly male, but male, female. And yeah, I was dancing at Cinematic with DJ Joseph Brooks and James Stone. And James ran Club Fuck, and he saw me dancing at Cinematic and was like, "Oh, you'll be perfect for Club Fuck. Would you want to dance there?" So I used to dance there every Sunday night. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that's actually where I met Jean Paul Gaultier because he
Mhm.
came into the club and saw me dancing and asked me to be in his big AIDS benefit show at the Shrine Auditorium with Madonna and everybody. So that
Great. So
was,
you were in that show with Madonna?
yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
was fun. And Raquel Welch.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Wow. Amazing. What did you wear?
I wore a coned bra. It was made out of plastic, almost like the streamers that are on little kids' bicycle handles. So it was a big cone bra with light bulbs in the middle of it that shone on the inside, and then a long skirt made out of the same kind of tassely plastic. And then I had a purse made out of the same plastic. What would those be called? Like strands or tassels?
Streamers?
Streamers,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I had a switch in my hand that I could turn the light bulbs on and off with. And I was escorted out to the into the stage, and then all the lights went down, and I was able to click my bra on and off. And then I did like a couple walks on the catwalk because I got such a big applause. They sent me back and I
Oh,
did 2 rounds.
that is great. Is there
Yeah.
a video of that somewhere? I would love to see
There,
that.
there is. I actually had one. I have a small clip from it from, I think it was ETV it was on, but I have it on VHS. So yeah, I do
Oh,
have it.
VHS. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I do believe it was on the news on MTV as well. So I think I have a little clip from that too.
Very cool. I love that. So you've been doing burlesque, I guess, for almost 30 years then.
Oh my God, yes, I guess so. The math just doesn't make sense when I'm only 35.
Right. I know. I mean, we started, it was really inappropriate, to have a tease for tots kind of show. Uh,
Yeah, toddlers and tiaras.
exactly. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've been doing it for 20 years and I'm just like, oof, but you got 10 years on me and I'm like, whoo, all the respect to you.
I mean, the time has flown by. I guess when you're enjoying something so much, it doesn't feel that long, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. How would you say that burlesque has changed over the years? Because a lot has happened in my time, a lot has happened in your time. So how do you perceive these changes?
Well, when we first started in 95, I feel like we were just making it up because there was nothing out there when we were doing it. There was no videos where you can just go grab a video from a video store. I don't even think Something Weird video came out where you can actually see vintage burlesque. And there was no YouTube where you can see it. There was just nothing to reference from. So we were just kind of making up our own styles. And I made up my style just from go-go dancing and rock and roll, punk rock kind of how I like to move my body. And then from men's magazines of burlesque dancers, just all their like they just seem so like fierce and raw and
Mhm.
sexual that from their poses is how I just assumed that that's how they danced. And I think in the beginning, everybody just made up their own styles. So it was really had a lot of styles going on in shows, and there was no burlesque uniform or, oh, you have to do it this way and not that way. So I feel like in the very beginning, there was so much freedom and individual expression and people just pushing their own boundaries and experimenting. Where it's changed, I feel like people feel like they have to be a certain style or a certain trend. Oh, everyone's, you need some fans, you need a corset, you need a boa, you have to look this way, and I feel like people are putting themselves in boxes, and not branching out on their own as much. Individual style. Maybe not as much variety nowadays.
Mhm.
I mean, and I'm not saying that like there is no individual style out there either. I don't want, there is a lot of great acts out there and interesting things. I just feel like in the beginning, it was just all over the place, and people created, be like, oh, that's how Michelle Lamore would do it, or this is how Kitten de Ville does it, and that's how Dirty Martini does it. And I feel like you could really pick out the characters. They had their traits or their gimmicks or whatever, their style. And I don't know if people are trying to find their own style nowadays and having it, this is who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That there wasn't really a lot to reference. When I started, yeah, same thing. I mean, I started in the Midwest, in a small town called Champaign where I was going to school.
I like
And
that.
yeah, and like I didn't know, I had never seen burlesque, and I just kind of created my own ideas about what I thought it was or what it could be. And I'm super grateful for that because I agree with you. There is a lot of almost like a burlesque factory happening where it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, and now is the time where you slam down on your knees, and now is the time where you like suck your thumb or whatever. Like, I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of a lot of those kind of cookie cutter moves that are happening. And it's good that there's kind of a quote unquote industry around it where there's classes happening, conventions and festivals and things like that. I mean, there was nothing going on back then, right?
No,
Like Teaserama
no.
was the first thing.
Yeah. And there was Exotic World was there. I
Yeah,
mean,
Exotic World.
but
And
the competition for Miss Exotic World was, I feel like it was something that you did because it was fun. And now I feel like people are like, oh, I'm in it to win it and I'm going to be this, it's like the titles have taken on a different meaning, or I feel like the spirit of fun and camaraderie in a way when you're doing it was just like, oh, we're all here participating, and it just has a different flavor nowadays too
yeah,
on all the titles. And I mean,
yeah.
you and I are both Miss Exotic Worlds.
Yeah, you won in 2003?
two, two,
Two. Okay, yeah, I
yeah,
was
two.
2005.
Yeah, I was a
Yeah.
judge the year you won.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, thank you, Kitten. I look back at those photos and it's like, wow, I won Miss Exotic World without one single rhinestone on my costume.
I don't believe my outer outfit had any rhinestones on it
I had
either.
sequins, but
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
it was a time where you didn't need to have 50,000 rhinestones on your costume to
Yes.
be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went outdoors in daylight.
Yeah. Oof, oof, oof. Talk about paying those dues, right? Respect your
Right.
elders, everybody.
Extreme sport.
Right. Well, so I've always really I love that you got your style from the photographs. I think that's really cool. I didn't know that, but you always bring a really primal free energy to the stage. Have you always felt that confident in your body and your sexuality, or did burlesque really help you grow in that area?
Um, I feel like I've always had some sort of confidence and sexuality in my body, where um, that little voice inside me is like, oh yeah, I'm this, but then we always have that other self-talk that's like, oh, am I, can I do this? Am I going to be able to do this? Okay. So I remember when I started go-go dancing, I used to just dance at clubs, and that's how I was asked to go-go dance, because the DJ, Joseph Brooks, when he was starting Cinematic, had asked if I wanted to go dance at his new club. And I was like, sure, because I always say yes to everything. And then I was like, oh my God, I was so nervous to get up on stage, even though it was go dancing. So I feel like that gave me a confidence to, be on stage and be seen in the way, showing your sexuality more. But I feel like in real life, I've always felt pretty sexual, pretty, I remember in probably first grade or something, trying to walk with the wiggle. And I think I've always, when I was able in high school, and, as I was, wearing, I think I used to wear long line 1950s bras to school and little short skirts. And I went to a continuation school towards the end because I got kicked out of high school for my hair because I was punk rock.
Oh my gosh, Kitten.
They wouldn't let me in regular high school with my haircut. So last year,
Wow.
yeah, but that was fine because then I was able to get a job and, all these other perks and
Yeah,
graduate
and this was
sooner.
all in LA. Like you grew up in LA?
I did. I grew up in
Yeah.
Downey. Yeah, so Los
Okay.
Angeles area. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think I've always been pretty sexually confident in myself and body.
Yeah.
And
So I know one of the other things that I really love about you. This is just going to be an episode of me complimenting you. So just strap in. But I've always really admired that you're a mom and a grandmom, right?
oh yeah,
But you have three daughters,
I have 3 daughters. Yeah,
and I have always admired that you have always been out there, always open about what you do, and giving them this example of what being sexually confident, and also like you are all about pleasure too. Like you really embrace life and you like seek out pleasure. And I feel as someone who did not have a mother like that, like, wow, I'm very envious of your daughters. um, so was that something that you did consciously, like I am going to be an example for them, or was that just a natural progression for you?
I feel like it's a natural progression, because I always want to live authentically. I don't feel like there's any reason to not live an authentic life, especially with children. I mean, I feel like children can just see through the lies, or like, I'm pretending to do this, or, you know, do what I say, not what I do. I don't find that my lifestyle at all. So I've always been very open with my life, and very open in what I've done, and, you know, with my children around. And I feel like it was really great, especially with daughters, to know that it's okay to be sexual and to be a strong feminine person, and to show your sexuality and not to be ashamed of it. And there's no shame in flaunting what you got, if that's what you want to do, or if you don't want to do it, that's fine too. And, you know, just living your true self.
Yeah. And was that something that they really grasped, or did they struggle with accepting? Were they like, come on, mom, you know, did like did they have any of those moments, or did they always think that you were super rad?
No, I'm a mom, so they don't think their mom is super rad until later. You know, it's like you're living it. They're just like, oh my God, my mom, you know, she's, you know, the way I look, or, you know, she's driving, you know, I have a 62 pink Cadillac, and so I drive to school with them, and they'd be so embarrassed, like, oh, why do you have to pick me up in that car? And then they would have, like, there'd be like teenage boys throwing themselves on my hood going, I want to marry you. And they're like, mom, stop. And so I feel like in the, you know, they had that kind of embarrassed because I wasn't like the other parents in a way, you know, like it. And then at the same time, they thought it was cool, you know, because so I think it's that conflicting thing when you're a teenager growing up. You don't want to be in the limelight in a way of so many, you know, oh, they're different. But then I think also they enjoy the lifestyle itself and the friends, and, you know, just the music that we listen to, just the whole growing up in that kind of atmosphere. So now as adults, I feel like, you know, they've said, you know, they appreciated it more. And then Ivy, my youngest daughter, she was, well, I was pregnant during burlesque time and took a year off and stuff. So when we would go to rehearsals early, I think she was, I don't know, 2 or 3 with the Velvet Hammer, and I would bring her to rehearsals, and so she was kind of like the little mascot, just like, oh, you know, loving all the other girls and the costumes. It was just kind of this dream world for her because she was so little, seeing all the bright, shiny things. And I remember one night after a rehearsal, she was getting ready for bed, and she was like taking off her clothes, and she was going da da da, and I was like, oh my gosh. That's funny, and also like, oh my gosh. But she was homeschooled, so I didn't have to worry about her and school doing inappropriate things. But I feel like they're all very healthy sexually.
Yeah.
Ladies.
Did any of them ever get into burlesque or want to do burlesque?
Yeah, actually, Chantel did burlesque. She was in a rock and roll strip show that Annie and I put on. Her stage name was November West. And then Chelsea, my middle daughter, was also in rock and roll strip shows, but she was our pickup girl. So we would do the pickup cat fighting things where they'd rip off the clothing, kind of little shticks and stuff. So yeah. And then Ivy is just like a singer-songwriter, just like
yeah. No, but yeah, it's no big thing. Yeah.
No, we used to like say, oh, if it was back in the old days, like vaudeville days and stuff, it'd be like the Deville Family Circus. Put on a show.
Yeah. Move over, Gypsy Rose Lee. Kitten de Ville
And all her
taking over.
family. It's a family show. Yes.
Oh, that's one thing. It's not a family show.
No.
So where does your confidence come from? Like, did you have a mother that showed this to you, or what sort of things inspired you to just kind of embody this femininity and confidence?
Oh, well, my mom was really an awesome mom. I could talk to her about anything. She was very typical, like old school, like 1950s kind in a way, like she wasn't very vocal. Like my dad ran the household, but on her own, she was very supportive. Whatever I wanted to do was great. She was just always very encouraging, and I could talk sexually or anything else with her. And it was no problem. My dad, on the other hand, I don't know. I think I got my confidence because my dad was always so like verbally abusive. He was always just like, if I wanted something, it's like, oh, you can't have it. You're not good enough and all of this. So I always had this tiny voice in my head that was kind of like, fuck you. I know I am. So I think the confidence and the self-awareness was just like a small, deep voice that was always lived inside me, that I can do it. I'm better than what other people think. And then I didn't have to listen to that kind of chatter. Like, just don't listen to it. Just go with what's in your soul and express how you're feeling. And the femininity, too, is like, as a child, it was super, we call it back then it was called being tomboy, but I feel like that's just a natural part of life, wanting to be. I was always just very physical and running around and climbing trees and had little motorcycles, and so I just I wasn't I played Barbies and stuff like that as well, but I don't know, I think it's just that combination of just of being a super tomboy, but then at the same time, my idol was Raquel Welch from A Million Years BC or whatever, that movie. Yeah. And I remember watching that in a theater when I was a kid. Of course, it was on reruns, but on a matinee, and just thinking, oh my God, I want to be her when I grow up. She was just her body, her cute little tiny clothes, and she was so strong and fierce and beautiful. And I was like, and I feel like I got sexuality from seeing women like that, that kind of just very strong, sexy woman.
Yeah. So Raquel Welch is your idol, and then you got to do a show with her.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
I didn't talk to her at all. I was just, I did share the runway and kind of cross paths, like almost bumping into her. But ever since I was probably 10 years old, I could have been a little bit younger when I saw that movie, but she definitely was just, this is what women should, in my mind, this is what you look like. And then it was super surreal doing the Gautier show, because like, oh my God, there is Raquel Welch. Like it was coming full circle in a way of being the little girl playing, trying to wiggle when I walked. And then that's what I'm doing as a living. And there I am back.
Yeah. And like, those are the signs that you're on the right path, where you just end up in these places and you're like, oh my God, this is everything I've dreamed about.
Yeah. And I think if you just follow your inner self or your heart, and you're just living life with passion, like you're doing things that are always that you're passionate about, life does just, you're in that flow, it's pretty easy. And it's not that I like to push myself out of my my comfort zones, so I say yes a lot to things, and there's like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? Or, okay, I'm going to learn how to, like with the Teenage Werewolves, I'm going to learn how to play drums. have
Yeah,
no
I
clue.
love it. I love seeing it. I love seeing you do that. It makes
Yeah.
total sense to me. Um, but yeah, I really like what you said about living authentically and expressing that. And I feel when you do that, when you live authentically or you're wearing your truth so brazenly that people come into your life that are supposed to be in your life. Like you're kind of like a magnet, right? For all the things that you want, right? When you
It
start embracing your truth.
it feels like that. It does. I feel like anything that I've done has came to me in this just super, just like almost like set itself in front of me. When I've done like the Gautier being at the nightclub, and then when I was with the Cabaret New Burlesque, Kitty Hartle was in the audience, who was the promoter for the French show at a Teaserama, and she came up to me and was like, "Oh, would you want to go to France?" And I was like, "Sure." And then it almost took a year for it to happen. So I was just like thinking like, "Oh, that's never going to happen." But then it ended up happening, and then doing the movie Autofocus was another one of those experiences. I was just go-go dancing for Christina Aguilera's birthday party, and a producer who came up who was working on that movie, and it was like, "Oh my God, you'd be right for this part we're looking for. We can't cast it. Would you want to be in it?" And I was like, "Okay." So just things have kind of fallen in my lap. I mean, I feel like I work hard doing what I'm doing, but it does
Yeah.
just present itself in a way.
So what advice would you give to someone to help them tap into their own authenticity?
I I would say just understand what you're passionate about. Not necessarily. I think want and passion are two different things. I can want all forever, but what makes me happy, what truly brings you joy and happiness, and where you find yourself smiling a lot, that's where you can find what is what you're supposed to be doing on this life, whatever's bringing you joy and excitement. And I think also is making you a little tingly, like, ooh, it's making you a little nervous, and it's exciting, or you can call it butterflies or whatever you want to call it. I feel like for me, that's when I feel like I'm going to the next step of where I'm supposed to be, where it feels a little bit uncomfortable or a little bit nervous, but I want to dive in and experience it. And I feel like if we're listen to our intuition, our inner selves, and understand the cues of our body, and our feelings, we could be guided in along that path of where we should be, or at least explore. Allow yourself to explore and do something for the fun of it, not necessarily for the monetary value of it, or because this is going to get you XYZ. Just do it because you want to do it. And I find like that is where a lot of the larger things that's happened in my life have come from, because I was doing something smaller, but that person came into where I was doing something smaller and it grew larger. Not that I sought out the large places, So I think when you're on that flow, like you said, you're like a magnet and things start coming towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of embracing the fear a little bit.
Oh, definitely embracing the fear. I feel like if you're living in a very safe, comfy place, it's like sitting on the couch and not experiencing life after a while, And I feel like even, when whatever you're doing and it becomes this regular daily thing and you don't have to think about it, it's easy and yeah, it's fun, but then it becomes jaded a little bit and you need a little mixing it up to make it exciting again. And you want to say yes to those opportunities where you might not be the expert in that field, or it's something a little bit new, or you have to start, try to figure out how you fit into this world or this place that you're moving into, and just experiencing life through a different view.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
there's
it's
so much to experience and so many new things to try. And I think that's one of the things that can keep us young is like working our brains in different ways and not just getting into the same thing every day, right? Like even, I'm not saying people have to go out and play in a punk band. That's awesome. But there's like little things that you can do to kind of put in that newness, right? Because it's
Yeah.
very easy to get comfortable.
Oh yeah, and especially with the pandemic, it's like when 2 years of becoming comfortable. I have not at first. Sitting at home and doing nothing felt decadent because in our lifestyle, there we were always, kind of hustling to the next show. I mean, if you weren't performing, for myself, I was my own agent, booking agent. So I'm constantly behind the scenes hustling and doing all kinds, to keep it working. So when I had the luxury of the pandemic, when I had to sit and, do nothing, it was like, ooh, this is so decadent. And now it's like, oh my God, this is so boring. And it's, doing that same thing like over and over and almost being forced to do it has been horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I'm noticing these patterns that I've developed over the past 2 years where it's like, oh yeah, we're on the couch, right? And but yeah, just like you, Frankie and I would say we would turn to each other and we'd have plans or want to meet somebody, and then we'd be like, sweatshirt night, and then we would cancel the plans and just stay home in sweatshirts. So it was like 2 years of sweatshirt night.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So now it's like coming out of the woodwork and seeing what's happening, and I don't know, my energy levels are just different too, but
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is
mhm.
different. And it is really saying that, like, now you have to make yourself go out of the uncomfortable, which is being too comfortable, and getting back into the world again, and just really, really being finding that motivation and exploring again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final question. So I consider you to be a very empowered woman.
Mhm.
One, would you consider yourself to be empowered? And two, what does empowerment mean to you?
Ooh, yeah, I would feel that I'm very an empowered woman. Empowerment just to me is knowing who you are and what your self value in the world, and not being afraid of showing that or expressing it and sticking up for yourself and being able to enjoy it and to enjoy yourself and to enjoy others. And yeah, I guess, empowerment. I mean, I feel like I'm going to go on and on about that, but
Yeah, it's
I
like
feel,
kind of one of those words that gets used a lot, but it's
yeah,
also kind of elusive, and we all have our different
yeah.
definitions of it. So I like to hear what people think about what that means for them.
Yeah, I think it's just, being true to yourself, being able to say, this is me, you can like it, you don't have to like it, but I like it, and not being ashamed, not being afraid, being confident in your own skin, um, and
Unapologetic.
unapologetic, exactly. And also, um, being I don't know, like helping others find their empowerment, being friendly and encouraging, and sharing what you have with others, I think is also an
Yes.
empowerment. Being a
Sharing.
teacher, sharing, and being grateful, allowing yourself in life to experience and explore and to have gratitude for everything is part of, I think, being an empowered person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being a part of this. Where can people find out more about Kitten de Ville, or where can we see you? this year?
I've Kitten de Ville on all social media. So Instagram, Kitten de Ville, Facebook, Kitten de Ville. Not on TikTok yet. I don't know. And then I have a website, kittendeville.com. I've been very lazy of updating it recently, but you can find things there. I am going to be doing some shows with the Teenage Werewolves. So again, Teenage Werewolves you can find on Instagram and Facebook. And we've got some shows coming up. Got some notes. Saturday, April 30th at the Virgil in Hollywood.
Get out of here. That show is going to be nuts. Yeah. I love that venue and it's so intimate. Oh man, that's going to be crazy.
Yes. So that'll be a fun, crazy night. So come out to that. And then also we will be in Riverside at MTL on the 7th of May.
Okay.
So yeah, and that's another fun-sized club in Riverside, and that'll be fun with the Teenage Werewolves.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. Okay, everyone.
And I also got some shows coming up in the fall in France. I'm doing a burlesque festival, and it's not been announced yet. So just be on the lookout for November. I am in the works of making a larger European tour this fall. So.
Fantastic. Yeah. Busy. Definitely not couch sitting.
Not couch sitting anymore. Liberated from the couch.
Yes. Awesome. Well, everyone, if you are in the LA area, definitely go and check out Kitten and the Teenage Werewolves on April 30th or May 7th. It is a great show. Take my word for it. Super fun. And it's a great way to just shake off this damn pandemic, right? Yes. And also everyone, I want to make sure you check out intopleasure.com. We have a pleasure positive virtual event happening on April 2nd. We'll have 5 pleasure experts all presenting on different topics, and I am so excited. So make sure you go to intopleasure.com. And finally, follow us at I Look Down There or me at Michelle Moore. Like and subscribe and share and follow, all the things you can do. And remember that confidence comes from the bottom up. So grab a mirror and look down there. Till next time.